get talking a bit about Ashveen's podcast, Hear Me Roar, how you got into doing that and how other people who might want to do a similar project can also do so. So do you want to just tell us, you've already covered it a bit in brief, but do you want to just tell us the more detailed version of how it came about?
Yeah, so I think really similar to kind of all the things that I'd been going through and realizing that, in terms of representation that we could always do with more, came my lovely little passion project, my little baby, which is a Hear Me Raw podcast. So I even though I call it mine, there's four other producers, and also with the Beanpole Media team, who are really amazing, and we all essentially kind of were sitting around the living room being like, I wonder why we can, why not get interviews with people, really amazing people that, can share their experiences, all of their achievements, these high value, high performance people, and just all of them be from a minority community. Because a lot of those kind of podcasts, whether, I'm not going to name any, but the very, very popular ones, most of the guests tend to be of, the dominant culture. So we were like, we could do this, like let's kind of figure it out, write a list of what we need. So from all of us sitting down, we kind of realized that we wanted it to, I think when it comes to obviously being in a podcast, you want to know what format it's going to be. And I really wanted it to be quite chilled and quite comfortable. So most of our conversations is very much, like talking through a number of topics, but not very interview based. But it's more about the people that are on the podcast. So we've had some really amazing, guests on. I've had Kirani, who is the co-founder of Break the Noise Records with Rishi Rich, and she was on the track with
Oh my
Jay
God,
Sean
I
and
love
Naked.
Rishi Rich.
Right. So like all these
Sick.
huge names, and she's a co-founder. She's huge, and yet a lot of people kind of sometimes forget that, there are strong women out there, and I'm like, we're gonna bring them to you, don't you worry. And then like there's been amazing other people. We've had, a Tai Chi grandmaster, the only non-Chinese Tai Chi grandmaster that very conveniently lived in Birmingham as well. So that was such an experience because we got to hear about mindfulness and, actually understanding the power of having health in, well, the whole health is wealth kind of conversation, and what you actually benefit from it and things like that. Like it was really like, it's honestly so impactful for me because I've learned so much from these people. The House of Sin, an amazing team that sell cinnamon buns and support rough sleepers in the UK. So it's like lots of different people. We've had comedians on, and it was very much trying to understand who are those people that may not have the shiny titles and the huge social followings and the million views on TikTok, but do so much for the community. So we kind of set out and just went on our ways, tried to literally call anyone and everyone that we knew in our circles. I had to call my dad up to be like, can you talk to this person for me? And things like that.
Using your networking skills again.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know, like my dad's definitely really helpful and he's always supportive. So it definitely helps. But to your question as well, is those people that want to go out and create something, just do it. I think the main thing that I've learned is that even if you're working slowly at it, you're still going at some pace. You don't have to do everything instantly. Like, don't get me wrong, we spent like 6 to 8 months in pre-production trying to make sure that we had everything set out, the speakers, the setup, the right production cast, the studio, the guests, like everything took a lot of effort. But it was all worth it. And I think one piece of advice that I would actually really give is that if you have a goal, and I don't think this is specific to just podcasts, I think this is for anything, is that if you have a vision, is if you want to be, I don't know, a millionaire, don't we all? Like if you know what you want to do and how you want to get there, start with the end one and work your way backwards and say, okay, if you want to be here at the age of, I don't know, 40, for example, at the age of this time, what do you need to do? How are you going to get there? And then a quarter of the way back, and then break it up into steps, and then you kind of know what you need to start now. And whilst that might sound really stressful for like the non-planners, I'm a real planner, but it kind of means that it looks like it's actually possible. So everything is possible. I always say, like, if Elon Musk can send a car into friggin' space, like, you can do anything. So that's definitely one of the things that we've had to do, is a lot of planning and, you know, the whole process of these things. But it also means that we get to be quite creative and have lots of fun with certain things that we're doing, and, you know, getting certain, like, we've had a doctor in to talk about, you know, all things they've seen us, and like, it's so fun and interesting. Like, it's those conversations that you have anyway in your house, right?
So you said that your family have been like quite supportive about it. Was there any sort of hesitance about you going down this path? Because I know one thing that you've said on multiple occasions, because I think I'd seen you've written it somewhere, and then you actually said it in the chat we had before, was like, oh, caring about what the aunties think. So has that ever played a part in your creative projects?
Yeah. So this is something that always kind of, it just gave me a little itch. Like, it didn't irritate me, but it gave me a little itch. Was the fact that whenever, like, I'd mention this to some people, it was a comparison to like a lot of different platforms, which was literally Loki Genge, which translates to what will people say.
We all know that bar. I was just gonna say that. We all know that bar all too well.
So, right, like, we all know it so well, but I feel like you guys are sitting here, and I know so many people, like, we're like in our 20s, early 20s as well, and we sit there like, I don't care what they say, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. But for some reason, we still have this dialogue of, what are the aunties gonna say? And it's because we keep creating that dialogue, and because we keep creating that content, even though it's funny, it still creates that problem in the future. So in my household, we're a very democratic household. Like, everyone gets a voice, whether you're high or low, and we're all very opinionated. So it was never really a problem to say, you know, me saying, I'm going to do this. And mom was like, yeah, go and do it. Like, it's fine. They've never stopped me from doing anything. I mean, I don't live at home anyway. I've lived away from them for a very long time. So I don't think they have much of a choice anyway. But the thing that my mom does love is that in most of my podcasts, she does get a little shout out for some reason. Like, she'll always show up, and she'll call me up after listening and be like, I heard my little thing.
Guys, what are you playing at? I haven't heard one single shout out to any parents this whole 3 months. Like,
to be fair, my mum keeps telling me, like, put your show on for me. I'm like, Mum, you don't even understand English properly. Like,
actually, I spoke about mine last week. I did.
Oh yeah, we did. We all spoke about our families last week.
Fine, yeah.
I think our culture is definitely built up on a lot of like respect and respecting your elders and intergenerational like closeness. So I think by doing the whole like what would the aunties think, caring about that, it is only like paying homage to what we've been taught all our lives. But it is also about taking liberation of what we want to do now, and kind of going not even necessarily against the grain, but maybe against what would be like expected of us in like on like the straight and narrow path. So I think we do keep it in mind. Does kind of, like you said, the little itch or like stays there in the back of your head, but overall, like, you know, we're all in our 20s, we'll have to like lead our own lives, so it is kind of like doing our own thing and doing stuff like this, or doing stuff like a podcast, and kind of not caring what they think.
I think if you're just always adhering to those kind of like societal norms or whatever else, then you're giving power to them, and then they'll never be broken, you know.
Yeah,
so to some extent,
I think it's just all too familiar to everyone that there's judgmental aunties. What are they going to say the next time you see them at the next wedding or the next this, that, or the other? Like, it's just, that's always in the back of your head, but you just have to let it go, because it's your life, it's not theirs, and they're always going to look for the next little scandal, the next little drama, and it just goes like that. The next thing always comes along to take their low interest, and that's it, it's done.
So, going back to your podcast, how did you actually go about setting it up? Because you said obviously you've got like a load of other producers involved as well. Did you already know them, or did you have to seek them out? And if so, like, how did you actually find these people that wanted to do the same thing as you?
Yeah, so I was very lucky. So I know the studios that I'm very good friends with. the Vehicle Media Studio. Sorry, I keep calling it Vehicle Media, but there's two functions in this company. One's Vehicle Media and the other one's Vehicle Studios. And I basically was just chatting to them, like I said, in a living room, and they were like, well, we have the means to do this. We have a studio set up. It's obviously a matter of getting a sound guy, getting a video guy, getting the content ready, making sure that we've done the research. I think I will say like that I have a lot of Google Sheets. So we all have, I think there's 2 or 3 or 4, I'd say, of like the list, like if you know what your topic's going to be that week, for example, like I always write it down and then the steps for what we need to do. So if, for example, it's we'll always do like a quick 30-minute catch up with the person who's doing that, and you'll assign someone, and then you'll have like the actual recording, and then you'll have post-production, then who's doing the social media, who's doing the video editing, the audio editing, and you kind of assign everyone to something specific. And because it's a Google Sheet, it's always updated and everyone can see it. And then there's obviously other ones for, kind of a prospecting guests. And then we also have like a wish list of guests that we, one day will be on the cast. So there's some really like crazy names on that list, but maybe one day it will happen.
You'll manifest it. Like you got to visualize that,
Yeah,
Now I'm back that.
exactly.
But like I think it also like relates to what you were saying earlier about like the goals. You have your big goals and you have your small goals, and I think like having those little micro goals is what kind of aligns all your goals together and like makes it all make sense. And it's those baby steps that get you to achieving the next big one. And then once you get there, you're like, oh wow, it happened, and then it's on to the next one. So before you know it, you'll be making your way through the wish list, and then you'll be saying like, wow, we've got this person on, we've got so and so on, and then the next wish list will be even bigger.
Exactly. And I know like some people might be listening to be like, oh my god, she's such a planner, like so high maintenance, but you don't have to do it that way. Like I know a good friend of mine has a podcast that he's also released, and they literally it's just a casual chat between 2 guys, and that's it. Like they literally wake up one day and they're like, right, it's a Saturday, we're going to do 2 hours, we're just going to chat, and like that's it. And there's no faff, they don't really do any editing, so it's like as long as the quality is good, they do a run through and then it goes live. So it depends what you really want to do in terms of like what your mission or like what you want to get out of it is, really, I'd say.
No, definitely. So before we play a few more tracks, do you have any last comments on or advice for the people out there that might want to not just podcasts but any like sort of creative projects, like who might be doubting themselves or thinking, oh, that's not for me?
Well, firstly, like doubting is natural. I do it most days. But don't let that be the thing that stops you for doing the thing that you actually want to do, I think is number 1. Number 2, actually try and sit and think of yourself, like, what do you want to do? Like I've spoken a bit about my work in investment finance and advertising, and I know a lot of people go out there being like, I want to be a banker, but sometimes it's just important to sit there and actually think, why do you want to be one? Like, what are your intentions? What do you actually want to achieve? And like actually sitting with that and kind of like not meditating on it, but just thinking on it really. And then also in terms of just having, like, for me, I really appreciate all the time I've spent with these people and what I've learned from this, and hopefully like that will be the thing that people will remember, is all the things that they've passed on. I mean, that's been just a really great experience. But yeah, anything. I think it's been a really great time so far, and I know we've pledged to do 100 episodes this year, so that's literally 100 people that we want to bring to the community from all different places, for you guys to listen to, from you guys to learn from you guys to understand how they got to their achievements. More specifically, I know I'm one story, but their stories and all these people from different environments, they have like it's a fountain of knowledge, right? So, and I feel like we all definitely have to be we can't do this without each other at the same time. Like I feel like it's very much what can we gain from understanding and knowledge sharing. So I hope you guys, whoever listens, may go out and listen to the podcast, the Hear Me Roar podcast, and let me know what you guys think. And I also want to reiterate the fact that those people that may not know anyone in any industry, and they want to, you know, for any of the topics that we've spoken about, if you want to go into comedy, because we speak to those people, you can reach out to me and I will do my very best to try and contact you with people that can help you get there, even though it may not be specifically about my industry. Like it's about trying to make sure that we can help and support and move, you know, move the whole generation forward in a positive light.
Sure thing. So like if people do want to reach out to you, like how should they go about it?
Yeah, so the main way to contact, so on Instagram, we have our handle handle is hearmeraw_pod, and you can either DM me or there's a contact button which has my email me directly, and then you've also got LinkedIn. It's my full name, Ashveen Kohli. You can message me on there as well, and I think those are the main two ways, but I'm always on, really, you know, present on both of them, so please do reach out.
Cool. Well, guys, you heard that. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can reach out to Ashveen and she will do her best to help steer you in the right direction.